stroke or cerebrovascular accident is a frightening event where every minute counts in protecting and preserving brain tissue and function. But what happens if delays arise, either in getting you to hospital or in treating you when you're there, and as a consequence, you end up with a worse outcome than you should otherwise have? Hello, I'm Cian O'Carroll, and our team of solicitors here specialises exclusively in medical negligence law. I think we're all familiar with the health information campaign called FAST, which encourages people to identify the early symptoms of stroke and take action by contacting the health services immediately. Delays can arise in getting a person to hospital. However, when they get there, typically the first thing that healthcare providers will want to establish is whether that person is suffering, if it is a stroke, a bleed or a clot. If it is a clot, then that person may benefit, if administered within a fairly narrow window of opportunity, with clot-busting or thrombolytic drugs. It may also be possible to refer that person to a neurosurgery unit, either in Dublin or Cork, for thrombectomy, a procedure whereby the clot itself is removed. And by either destroying the clot or removing the clot, blood supply can be restored to the brain tissues beyond where that clot was. This is a perfect example of how time is of the essence. But if delays arise, well then either of those two vital treatments might be denied the patient. Separately, we've seen examples where patients who were under observation in hospital following either a minor stroke or perhaps what's called a transient ischemic attack have now suffered a progression of symptoms. Their neurological signs have deteriorated and action hasn't been taken. This could be because of a new stroke, or it could be because the original stroke, the original clot, has now led to secondary bleeding within the brain. In either of those situations, again, it is essential that immediate action is taken to preserve brain tissue and function for that patient. And where that doesn't happen, and it's accepted based on expert evidence that this falls below an acceptable standard, legal issues will arise. I think all of us have come across stroke at one point or another in our lives, and we are familiar with what can be the devastating consequences. A person may lose the ability to speak or swallow. Partial paralysis may result, and all of these disabilities will greatly impair a person's ability to live and care for themselves independently. And therefore, having established a basis for a legal cause of action, it then becomes our job to understand all of those consequences for the individual and to take steps to quantify the economic cost to them and their family. In addition to care costs, there will also often be home adaptation costs. There may be assistive technologies which can help that person to communicate or to give them enhanced mobility. And all of these features are quite expensive and are often not available through public health. And so it's essential that legal proceedings, if they are to be brought, are brought quickly and expeditiously. They need to be concluded in as short a time frame as possible to give that person the benefit of those damages, to give that person the benefit of all of those assistive technologies and improvements around their house. And that's something that we've become quite adept at here at Cian O'Carroll Solicitors.